Okay. All right. That's me. I run this company called Haptik. We are now one of India's largest AI companies. We started out as a conversational AI platform, primarily implementing chatbots and voice-driven experiences for enterprise customers. But over the last 2 or 3 years, we've now expanded some of the work that we do horizontally across the generative AI stack. We process a little over 2 billion monthly conversational interactions, and then we approximately service 60% of the local market in India. All right, so we've now been working with enterprise customers both in India and wider Asia over the last 2 years, thinking about what does generative AI mean to them. And one of the interesting aspects we found is this is broadly where we are finding retailers in their journey of generative AI. About 40% are taking no action. They're waiting and watching to see what happens. About half of the customers we work with are doing some sort of pilots to implement some POC that can give them outcomes. And about 1 in 10 customers we're now starting to see some of the solutions they are implementing actually scale. They're mass, they are out there to customers, they're end users, and they're actually starting to see outcomes. We know broadly these numbers, but fundamentally, this is going to be a large market where we anticipate retailers, particularly, to be investing in generative AI applications across the full stack. So this is really what I call the money slide for us. The constant feedback I would get when I would talk to retailers in particular is like, hey, listen, just help me understand and break it down for me. What can LLMs and generative AI do as I think about solving problems across my business? And we basically broke it down into these 3 things. We basically said that, look, if you are a retailer, e-commerce company, this is like your, call it, cheat sheet, menu card that you can use to think about all the different places where LLMs and generative AI are having an impact today. Across marketing, I think some of the things were talked about in the previous session, whether it is creatives, conversational sales assistant, a lot of work going on across better search and recommendations using LLMs, and of course, things like visual try-ons. Customer support is something that I guess is low-hanging fruit that we all think will get transformed. So whether it is simple FAQs, co-pilots, or even looking at live agent analytics. And then finally, this broader bucket of just operations across the business, right? And we'll walk over some of these use cases where very actively today, LLMs are improving catalogs, helping make supply chains more efficient, detect fraud across the entire transaction, and many more. So one by one, there's a lot to cover, but I'll try to go through this go through as many of these as we can. This is what we call basically AI-powered Q&A. One of the most easy solutions to get going as you're thinking about LLMs. And what this does is, and by the way, Haptik is not the only company that does this. There's many you'll find that do it in a variety. But simply put, basically what this type of a solution does is you look at your entire website, all the different content pages, you look at various documentation, PDFs, even PowerPoints. You ingest it into this large language model that is fine-tuned and grounded specifically for your use case. And it spits out a Q&A engine that can either be a chatbot, it can be a co-pilot, it can sit on top of documents, and it can do anything that you need answering on top of that data that's been ingested. I think what's taken a bunch of people a lot of time to get over here, which now is possible, all of this can be done maybe within 24 to 48 hours. The systems, technology, and the models are there in place where you could literally just put everything in a system that's fine-tuned and spit out a Q&A engine. The sales assistant, I think this is something that is one where I'd say there's a lot of excitement because it's very cool in terms of what it can do. But basically, this is your classic conversational AI chatbot that's now pretty much behaving or trying to behave like an in-store sales agent. So it could be, hey, I'm looking for sunscreens for summers. Would you like to know? And then, the agent responds saying, I've got some sunscreen, more. And essentially the conversation just continues as if it was an in-store sales agent. I've actually tried to play around with these things a lot. And it's amazing how far the technology has come. I think these AI-driven sales agents are pretty much going to be around everywhere by the end of the year. With this specific beauty brand, I actually put a complex question saying, hey, I'm traveling to Singapore in June. I have dry skin. What products would you suggest? It pulled out all the different information, gave me a specific tailored package of what I can use and eventually buy. So we actually think that a lot of shopping experiences are going to move to some of this. So, I'm going to try to quickly play a video. Maybe I'll play half of it. Tira is now one of India's largest beauty brands. They service about 50 million customers, very, very large marketplace. And we'll walk over a video on how some of the sales assistant is actually working right now live on their products. See the bottom right? So it's starting with very simple stuff. This could be done by search, but you'll see how complex it gets. So this is some things that were difficult to do before, but now with LLMs is possible, where it still remembers that you wanted something for the summer, you wanted specifically a sunscreen type and the price. And what you notice is just like a human agent, it's actually asking follow-up questions. Can I help you with this? Do you need this? Do you have a specific type? And so on. And you could basically keep going on, right? When I started my career in this business about 10 or 11 years back, one of the most common things that would happen with chatbots the moment we would take them live is, everybody would try to break them, right? Everybody would try to go in and say, let me try to make sure that I can defeat this bot. Some of these solutions that I'm showing now, especially this one, I've been trying to beat it now for a few weeks and haven't been able to. So that, I think, has been the big inflection point in the journey of large language models. By the way, this is not simply, a GPT-4. There's a lot of work that goes in grounding these models, ensuring that there is context in the specific domain that they're answering on. So this is something that, again, we're seeing a lot of exciting work happening. One of the biggest challenges that e-commerce companies typically have is managing their catalog. So what we try to do is use LLMs to make the catalog significantly better. So, I'll give you a bunch of examples, right? Let's say, somebody uploaded this the wrong category. So the model then went in and suggested that, look, the correct category should be this instead of putting it in the best deals. Even a better one, right? Somebody said the title of the product is hot mugs, but guess the image that they put is actually a bag. So quickly the LLM goes in, says that, look, this is not a mug. Please put in an image of a mug. Missing data, right? So, one of the things that people get most wrong when uploading some of this content is actually the description. So somebody said, look, whatever, my newborn blueprinted blanket, but it actually gave you a real-time suggestion of how you should describe the product. Offensive or compliance-related data. So somebody uploaded this image of, let's say, somebody smoking in front of a phone. But again, this is not the correct image, or rather, this does not meet the compliance check, so it calls it over there so that you cannot proceed. Couple more. So this essentially is, again, something that we're piloting with one other retailer, where the whole idea was, can you give me more in-depth analysis in terms of just what's going on with my brand? So here what we do is we basically look at, social media mentions and tags of the brand across all of Instagram and Facebook, and then come back and say things like, okay, look, here are the things that are trending from other people who are posting about the brand. So in this case, it was this type of clothing that was trending. In another case, it could be, a certain demographic that is posting about the brand a lot more. In certain other cases, it could be a particular creator or an influencer that's driving all this traction. Text and image generation, I think this we spoke about a little bit. I think this is more obvious, but again, something that we're now starting to see real scale with, which is basically, you put in your prompt saying, hey, look, my brand is this. This is the product, which is body lotion. You basically generate, and it can spit out like 10, 20 images for you that you can then use across your catalogs. And then the last one that we're seeing, again, a lot of recent action on. And this makes sense because this is very easy to get started for retailers today, which is what we call chat transcript analysis. So here what we do is most or all retailers will have some sort of a call center that they're already running today. Historically, those conversations, the way that the call center executive and the user and the consumer interact have been very difficult to analyze because it's just very, that technology didn't exist to analyze conversations at such rapid pace. But now we're seeing this can very much be possible by a bunch of large language models, where you basically take in all of this audio call data, run it through, again, a fine-tuned model, and it spits out transcripts in terms of what happened on those conversations. And then that can go into, improving lots of things in your customer service, but also can give you valuable insights on what's going on in your business. So review summarization, this is one more that, again, if there is a large review about your product, you can basically summarize it and bring out important tags. Okay, in closing, having deployed about 30, 40 of these solutions in production across various retail and e-commerce customers, we've learned these are the few things that you should think about as you're going about your journey. First, this block of control, I think, is the biggest. I always say this, that you could take one of the models, do whatever we talked about, deploy it tomorrow, you'll probably go 80% of the way. But 20% of the times, things will hallucinate, you will go wrong, and 20% is a very large margin of error when it comes to deploying production scale solutions for millions and millions of customers. So, ensuring that you built enough control and optimize the cost is critical. Second is what we call the constitution. Basically, for us, we define each solution and we define a new model constitution for each one of them, which looks at context, domain, fine-tuning the model, and so on. And then finally, data privacy. I think that's the number one question that we get, but there's enough you can do, again, on these models to ensure that you're actually not looking at private information of these customers, but working off of generic data. That's me. Thank you so much.